Hello and let's welcome to Let's Talk with MP Student, where we're keeping you updated with every aspect of your life in and out of school. I'm your host, Dr. Patrice Little, and I'm so excited because today we are concluding our Men's Health Awareness series. And I just wanted to start off with just a thought provoking question. Did you know that physical activity can prevent 1 in 10 premature deaths? And for this reason, that is why we are finishing with the topic of 3 fitness hacks for busy men. And joining us today is a returning guest. We have Tochukwu, Oparaocha, who's been here before, and he's come back to bring us valuable insights on how we can transform our lives. And when I say we, I'm talking about you men, from going from sedentary to fitness. Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. So, for those of you who are not familiar, or pardon me, T, for those who are not familiar with you, can you tell them a little bit about who you are, and your background as an expertise, and really what brings you here and what you can bring for us today?
Sure. So, those that don't know me, me coach T online. My name is Tochukwu, as you just mentioned. But I started this whole thing back when I was in college, a wee young boy. I was, initially started off being an engineer in the pre-med field, just learning the higher life. One thing leads to another. I do, I go to school. I do the homecoming at school as a fake trainer, and then I actually start doing it afterwards because it got so big. I'm like, okay, well, let's go ahead and do this anyway. Let's learn how to really do this thing. And here we are, about 7 years later, where I'm helping people who work in all fields, be it healthcare, be it the corporate world, be it people who are entrepreneurs, people who really have a lot to give society. I don't know how to bring some of that stuff they're putting out to the world and put it back into themselves, from the mental to the physical to the spiritual.
And one of the things that I love the most is that you always approach it holistically, because you can't, when it comes to fitness and health, it's not just the aesthetic part, not just the physical part, but it's everything starting from the inside out. And so, with that being said, I wanted to, well, remember, I started off with a quote about getting enough physical activity could prevent 1 in 10 premature deaths. Wanted to just ask you about this statement, and as far as how critical the role is of physical activity in improving men's health, especially during this time, which is the National Men's Health Awareness Month.
It's interesting that I appreciate you asking that question. It's interesting. Family holidays are coming in galore, family flying in, presents, all the responsibilities on you. And so what I noticed that a lot of times during this phase of the season, this phase of the year, men start to fall into some form of I want to say depression, but they start to feel much more dejected. They feel pushed down. They don't really feel as if their emotions are in a place where they have to deal with it themselves, which, I mean, depending on who you are, it's fine. Maybe it's not fine. What I can tell you, though, is that a lot of times they don't think they have a true way to express those emotions. Some people find it through therapy, others might find it through physical activity. I think the purpose of us being here today is that, when you do have the time and when you are looking to make those changes and start to pour more back into yourself, first thing you can start is just physical activity to kind of give that labor of love back to yourself. So you start to move more, you start to feel a little bit different. And then those things that were big burdens on you, when it comes down to the world around you, it doesn't feel as much of a burden anymore. It might still be a burden, life is life, but at the end of the day, you're in a position where you feel like you can actually handle it. You can take care of it. You feel much more empowered to get the job done because you're pouring into yourself. Now you know that you're worthy of whatever is around you that's attempting to pull you down.
So what I hear you saying is that when men engage in physical activities, it's helpful to the mind as far as helping them combat depression because they're moving. And then when you're moving, you feel a bit more confident.
Right. And to kind of sprinkle the salt on top of that, it comes down to when you move, you're kind of giving your brain signal that, okay, there's a purpose for this physical being of us. Because when you don't move, your body, I mean, your body is built. You can't have the inside without the outside. You can't have the physical without the mental. They're kind of work hand in hand. So when one piece of the puzzle is missing, the other's like, wait a second, you should be moving, but you're not moving. Maybe something wrong with me too. And now the whole system kind of, it's either malfunctioning or it's starting to not be as efficient. So that's why you got to have both. You got to have the mental, the inside, and the physical things you can actually see, the things you can actually do physically with your actual flesh and blood.
And so that right there, T, it sets the stage for the three fitness hacks that we're going to talk about. At really,
Sure.
most of the men and busy men is really what's that we are really targeting for this segment. They have sedentary lifestyles, most of them in those executive administrative roles, and then we understand that you are, of course, a healthcare leader coach. So many of them, they have various roles. They're either walking around a lot, maybe running a facility, a healthcare facility, or they're sitting down a lot, which really makes it so important to prioritize their health. Because if you don't put your health first, then you won't be able to do your job. It looks like there's a bit of delay on this end. So it looks like the stream is a little bit delayed. We are, for those who are just joining us, we are talking about the three fitness hacks for busy men as we conclude the Men's Health Awareness, National Men's Health Awareness Series. And we just finished talking about how depression impacts men during this time of year and the importance of movement. Are you back? I do not know if it's the weather why it's delayed. Hmm. Now we see you moving.
All right. All right. Are we on the same page now?
Uh, okay. So for those who are tuning in, we are talking about the three fitness hacks for busy men, and the stream is a bit challenging, having some technical difficulties. There you are, T. You're back. You are back.
Beautiful. Glad to be back.
Yes. So let's just really get right into it, just in case we have technical difficulties again. Can you share your first fitness hack to help men
Mhm.
prioritize their health?
The first thing I can make sure everyone knows is that you need to get rid of that perfectionist mindset, right? A lot of times, you're coming from a lifestyle where you've either had to go all the way hard or not at all, which makes sense to get to where you are right now. But when it comes to health, it's more of a marathon rather than a sprint with a designated end day, end goal, whatever it is. So that being the case, you do what you can. If you can't do a whole hour workout, that's perfectly fine. We're not here to become bodybuilders. We just want to get healthy, feel good, look good, lead our families, do what we got to do. So if you can do
Yes.
15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes because it's what you have right now, don't let that be the thing that deters you away from actually getting after it. Just stick with that. Maybe you do some squats. Maybe you do some work in your office. Maybe you just start with the wall. Nothing too crazy, just enough to kind of get you back into the momentum. And as time moves on, and as you get more acclimated with that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you start small. You build on top of it, and I can get to those more fancy things if you choose to go that way. But at the bare minimum, what you want to have happen is that you start small. You can at least maintain that little piece of time. It's going to pay back dividends into your lifestyle, your happiness, your well-being, and your family. That's how I see it. That's how I see it.
And then what is the second hack?
Number two. I think you guys gonna like this one. Number two, because this is big. A lot of times, people who tune into video to shows like this, beautiful shows like this, it's because they don't have much time. You're squeezing out time to make sure you can pay attention to the wonderful works that like Patrice has here. But what I will tell you is that for those of you who actually value your families, and that's what we're gonna do here. You're gonna take some time and kind of kill two birds with one stone. If you're gonna work out, it's either for me we're thinking it's between family and it's between working out time. Why don't you just put it together, right? Maybe you go for a walk with the family. Maybe you go for a hike with them. Maybe you work out, do something slight with them. Maybe play sports with the family, right? Just want to make sure it's fun. You actually want to do it on top of actually making impact within your house. At the end of the day, you can kind of get that bond with your family. That's the most important. You make sure you have that bond with yourself. Make sure you actually start to move your body, get the lymphatic system moving, so the stress is down, the health is up, the serotonin is up, dopamine is up. All that is there because you made that one decision. So if you can knock out two birds with one stone, you're in a much better position than you were without doing those two things, or having to pick between those two things.
And that's one of my favorite ones. We had talked briefly before we went live, and we talked about how your family holds you accountable, especially when you have a particular fitness goal,
right,
and so forth. And then also, and it's interesting because the first couple of guests that we had for these series, they talk so much about how much the woman kind of influences the man's health. The woman in the household encourages, whether it's abuela, which is grandmother, or whether it's the wife, or the sister, and depending on the household, that they're influencing them to be concerned about their health, to take care about their health. So I like that, as far as that accountability. And then, so what would be the last one?
This is the most fun part about it right now, because I can't speak for you guys. I'll speak for myself. I can speak for Patrice. I can speak for people who I've coached over the last 7 years. And there's one thing I know about people who work in this profession, be it corporate, be it in the healthcare field, be it in any level of that whole ladder. There's always a time where you're always moving, doing work at the laptop, eyes getting fried up, mind getting fried up. And there's a time where you might have to take a little rest. So in the spirit of what we said in number one, where you take some time out to do something, even just a little bit, use that time right there to stretch, just move, get your body, get the blood moving again. Even if you can't run a freaking marathon, that's fine, perfectly fine. Just get the blood moving. Just get the blood moving. So what I always say is just get some stretching in. And this is pretty serendipitous, because last night before I woke up before I went to bed last night, I was actually drawing up a brand new stretching module for myself to use in the morning and nighttime. I felt myself needing to tap back into. So it's kind of funny that we're here talking about it again. If you guys need that, you can. She'll put a link up here somewhere, but you can just reach out to me on social media. I'll let me know that you were here from the show. I'll send it to you right away. But taking care, it could be right there on the email, or it could be via my Instagram. That's the Train with T on Instagram. THE Train with T, as it shows on the screen. But my main point here is this: when it comes to mobility and stretching, I'm not asking to be an Olympian. I'm not asking to be a gymnast. That's never the case. It's more so what can you do to get the blood moving in the places where you feel tight the most. And in my experience, I've seen the tightness come mostly in the hips. You're leaning over the whole time, and they get really tight and short, and now you stand up, you look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Maybe your shoulders are kind of hunched over a little bit like that. Maybe your core feels a little bit weak. It's cool. If that's you, let me know in the comments, and let me know on the page when it's posted up. But it's reality, right? It's what you want to ignore and say, oh, it's okay. It comes with the job, right? At the end of the day, you probably don't want to live like that because it feels painful. Maybe you don't like how it looks like. We can all agree that it feels painful. So what I advise you do, maybe you take the advice, maybe you don't, but here it is for you if you need it. What I always do, maybe every hour when I'm working, I'm always on my laptop working. What I'll do is this: I'll kind of sit back. You with me, you can do it with me. Everyone do it. I know please do it with me too, but
I'll do it with you.
What you're gonna do here is this, right? What you're gonna do is, take your jacket off, get comfortable right here at home, and you're gonna pretty much do a row, right? So basically, I'm gonna show you see me, but you're gonna just put your arms out in front of you like this, and then you're going to lead with use the inner back most you feel, and just kind of just squeeze your shoulder blades together. Mm-hmm. And once you're gonna get them feeling that squeeze as high as possible, just pull your arms back, and then just hold it there, and just squeeze as much as you can on that inner back, those shoulder blades, just squeeze them together for like 5-10 seconds. And breathe while you're doing it, and squeeze a little bit tighter, and then just let go. You're gonna feel that release right there in the upper back. You're gonna feel it. It just feels sensational. You got 3-4 times, and it's a whole new you. Feels like.
I'm going to start incorporating that tea in my in my daily regimen,
Yeah.
because one of the things that I have is like the neck. I feel like a
Mhm.
strain in the neck because the more you're like this, because I
Yeah.
do a lot of typing and researching, and then I get like this.
Yeah.
And so this is something for the women who are tuning in. They could benefit from this as well.
Yeah.
Again, we're focusing on men because then we're closing out our men's health series.
Yeah.
But this, thank you for sharing um, that exercise, because it's really about trying to incorporate exercise throughout the day. So what I hear you saying is that we need to just make sure that we're moving. Men got to keep themselves moving. Women, of course, got to keep themselves moving, but particularly because of all the health conditions that are attached to being having a sedentary lifestyle.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, because I went to school. Like I said, I went to school. I went to school for engineering. I was on the pre med track, and so I've seen a lot of people who get caught up. Like they go to med school, and they're living their dream. This is what they want to do from a young age, and they're actually living it now. And so what will
Hmm.
happen is that as they get into this new career and they're actually living this career, they're keeping the lifestyle that they had back when they were in med school, where it's like just straight books, 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 studying, getting to that. So they're keeping all that when they've actually gotten over that hump. And so you can't have one way and have the other way too. You can't. You have to pick one. Like if you're gonna be in this new life now where you're actually matriculated into your career, you can't live as you were once you were a student. There's two different roles to different parts of your life. And so when you live back there,
Mm.
it's almost like you're stunted in development. So you got to bring it up. Okay, well maybe what works back then isn't going to work now. Or for those of you who are perfectionists, right? Raise your hands, perfectionists, all or nothing people. Well, some people think that okay, well back when I was in my 20s, I was working on an hour a day. I was going crazy. I felt amazing. I was ripped, whatever, right? And that's
Yeah,
perfectly
now I'm at the done is better than perfect stage in my life.
fine. You see, and here's I'm gonna go ahead and put this up, right? I'm willing to say that what you're doing right now, where done is better than nothing, that same thing you had back then, just that you have a different capacity level because you have more responsibility now.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Yeah, so you got to kind of adjust and say, okay, well, let's be real. Let's look at my lifestyle. Let's look at this agenda.
Hmm.
Who I am today in this part of my life is not who I was back then. When it comes down to who I am, where I developed mentally, or what my calendar looks like, who's in my life, children, all that stuff, it's different. So you got to make sure you're adjusting for that to make sure that you can still get that same quality of, that pouring back into yourself, that health, putting yourself first, prioritizing yourself and your health in a
Okay.
way that actually fits this brand new schedule that you have now compared to what it was back then when you were more consistent. You can still bring the same level of consistency. And it's not about the intensity. It's more so about how consistent can you stay and pretty much how long can you keep the consistency right there. If you need to change it, quick, okay, cool, change it. But we need to make sure that at the end of the day, consistency is there because that's what's going to kind of push you along in those days as you get older and older. We want to make sure we're looking like the Makalan. We're not looking to be like bananas, rotten bananas. We're going to be like Makalan as we age.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
you said a lot, really. I mean, what I'm pulling from this is, of course, consistency is eventually going to give you the results that you need. And you said the main goal is to keep yourself moving, to
Yeah,
get that blood moving
yeah.
in your body, and to incorporate family. You dropped a lot of nuggets here. There
Trying to
were
get it
so
done.
many takeaways.
Yeah,
There were so many takeaways.
just a few of
So
the things.
we've, pardon?
Yeah, just a few of the things here. But you can start to. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's not about how much you can just make. If you just picked one of those things, like we're playing it tomorrow. All right, we're back. We're off the holiday now. You're back to work tomorrow. Back to the real world, quote unquote. And so, just pick one of these things. You have to use all of them. It might be overwhelming. Maybe it's easy for you. That's perfectly fine. But if you just pick one of those things, just applying for the week, just tomorrow, and tap back in with
So
me. Tap back in with Patrice. Let her know or let me know. Hey, this worked for me. This is beautiful. Awesome. That's all. That's great. That's great.
yes, yes. And please, if you can, just drop it in the chat for those who are tuning in now, or for those who are watching the replay. Put which one of these fitness hacks you are going to incorporate. T, I already told you I am definitely going to continue with number two, but that number one is where I find myself having to revisit. We've had a talk about that before, and it boils down to that mindset, that
Mhm.
mindset. So that's mine for this week. I want to hear everyone else's.
Number one, yeah, yeah. I want to go. Can I go a little deeper? I can go a little bit deeper to make sure we really
Yeah,
understand.
we still have time. You can go a little bit deeper.
A little deep. All right, I want to go. I want to go too deep, but what I'll
Okay.
say here is this. I'll say is this because when it really comes down to the all or nothing, it's easy to say. I'll be real with you. Sometimes I'll say just all or nothing. Like yeah, whatever. I'll hear it. They say they feel it, but they don't really feel it because it's like I'm too used to this. And so I want to say this right here. If you're gonna be in a place where you know you have X amount of time and you want to do this, but you really feel like you can't do it, you have to understand that in order for you to be who you want to be, you have to create a new set of guidelines that are going to lead you to who you want to be. You can't live as the old you and still be the new you. Like you can't live like you know what it took to get to where you are today. If you're watching this and maybe you really need this, maybe you're not in the best shape. Maybe you felt there are improvements to be made, right? Not a bad thing. You just got to be aware of it. And once you kind of get that down pat, once you understand that that's the case, now it's okay. Well, let's look at our habits over the last few years, the last few months. What's consistent within my lifestyle? Not that it's good or bad, just what's actually going on. And you look at it, you're like, well, okay, well, clearly that didn't work for me. Let's try something. Why didn't it work for me? What was good about it? What wasn't so good about it? Not that it's good or bad, it's what actually helped you and what didn't help you. And if you see that the list of things that aren't helping you are outweighing those things that are helping you, then it's kind of obvious at that point, like, okay, well, now I know I have to change. Because obviously, as much good as I feel about it, maybe it makes you feel good to not do things. That's perfectly fine. I'm not going to say it's bad. Feeling good is good. It's great to feel. You work out, you feel great. It's not a bad thing to feel good. But when that list of things that aren't helping you outweighs the things that do help you, then that's where you're okay. Well, as good as this feels, I got to make a change. Whether even if it's a small change, I got to make a change. It's clearly I'm on even if it's a small slope, it's still a slope downwards. We don't want that. We want to go upward, even if it's slow. So if that's the case, now you know, okay, let's just start with just gradually getting rid of those habits that aren't so good, right? So maybe for you, maybe perfection. Okay, maybe you're the kind of person where you have to do everything or nothing. That's the kind of person you are. Okay. Well, what I would tell my clients in that case is just go to the gym. Don't even think if that's the kind of person you are, and just pick favorite exercises and just do those. So even if you don't go for a full hour, at least you know you did something that made you feel good. Maybe for some people it's run, some people it's going for a small job. Maybe some people it's just going for being able to lift weights. Maybe some people's going for a sprint. Maybe some people, not all people. End of the day, just do what you want to do. And from there, once you kind of build up that way, now you feel like, okay, it's not about time or giving my all. It's about doing what I like to do. And from there, once you kind of build the consistency of now, you can start to kind of get fancy with it, get tricky with it. And now you can start to get rid of some more of the old habits that weren't helping you and now going to the ones that are helping you. So you want to kind of get rid of the stuff that's pushing you downwards. And once you kind of do that, you naturally go up. It's like a spring. It's like having a jack in the box, right? Once you get rid of that top that's pushing it down, you just go up naturally. And from there, you want to keep going higher, you can do that. But once you get rid of stuff that's not helping you, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to keep increasing your health and the ways you can contribute to yourself and to your company and to your family. So if you can apply that, I'm sure that you'll go ahead and make some real changes.
Wow. Well, usually I ask another question towards the end of the
Yeah.
of the show about
Mhm.
if you knew then what you already know now, what would you
Mhm.
suggest? And it
Yeah.
sounds like you mentioned that. You've covered that.
Mhm.
It sounds like everything that you're saying today is a reflection. As you were speaking, I was like, wow, he is doing a personal reflection over just the years of dealing with interacting with different clients, and what you notice is, and it
Mhm.
sounds like this is your sauce.
Someone's got to
Sounds like
cook it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tochukwu, this always is always great having you. This was a great, of course, segment having you. I appreciate the insights. Of course, we always want to have you come back. For those who are joining us for the first time, joining the conversation at Let's Talk with MP Student for the first time, please DM me and let me know what types of topics you would like to hear more about, and or DM Tochukwu as far as the fitness topics you would like him to talk about. And do not forget to sign up for more information. T, tell them all the different types of perks that they get when they become part of your community.
For sure, for sure. For those of you who don't know, I run a very highly acclaimed email campaign over there. It's our newsletter. We have the Training Team newsletter. And really, if you click on the link or you kind of scan the link, you'll see that we're really creating not to just lose weight. That's pretty surface level. hopefully I'm not a very surface level person. It's more so looking at your entire life from the inside all the way out to figure out what's actually happening there. We're not judging it. Nothing's inherently good, nothing's inherently bad. It's more so what do you want? Where are you right now? And what are you doing to kind of make that happen? If you're not making things upwards, you're going the opposite direction. We don't want that. We want to keep progressing and becoming and keep enforcing that we're winners because we are winners. If you're here right here and you're rocking with Dr. Patrice, you're probably a winner. I can't say for sure, but I can deduct
They're all winners. Everybody who tunes into this, they all winners.
Okay, cool. I had to make sure. I had to be clear. But that being said, if you're that kind of person, you're the kind of person who knows you have a goal right there, and you lead a family, you're in a leadership position, you're the kind of person who hold a lot of responsibility and embrace the responsibility. You want to keep on, taking that on and winning in that role, and that link right there is perfectly for you. And before I forget, the ones who were looking at church and like, wait a second. That's right there. I tried it. It helped me. I feel amazing. I feel good. I felt this good in years. If you're looking for that kind of thing, you just DM me on LinkedIn, the things like that, Tochukwu Oparaocha, or you can DM me on Instagram at @thetrainwitht. @thetrainwitht. DM me there. And just say, hey, I was on the podcast. I watched the podcast. Just DM me the word stretch, and I'll help you. I can show you the link. I told you I made a guy last night. You can just let me know, and I'll send it to you right away. But just DM me the word stretch on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I'm indiscriminate. Go ahead.
So I'm going to make sure I put that in the lower third. You want them to DM stretch to, what was your Instagram again?
The train with T. THE train with T. TE.
All righty. So I want to make sure that I have that, and I just added it here for everyone to DM the word stretch. I'm going to fix that. And make sure that you all have that. So DM the word stretch to @trainwitht on Instagram. You can also DM at Tochukwu Oparaocha at LinkedIn on LinkedIn. So you can DM the word stretch there. Man, this right here was just, I mean, as always, it's always insightful. Your vibe, I can tell. I've always been able to tell from the time we met that you live everything that you preach, and it's always good to have authentic experts here. It's one thing to be an expert as far as knowledgeable, but it's another thing to actually live it, and that's a part of your life, and that's what we're about. We have always been about that holistic approach where we help students with their every aspect of their life in and out of school. And with that, I would like to close out and say thank you all for tuning in to our to the men's health awareness series that we had, the men's health series. This has been fabulous. I can't wait for us to do it again. We have an opportunity to do it, come and do it again in June. For National Men's Health Month, which is weird. You have Men's Health Month and Men's Health Awareness Month and International Men's Day. So with that being said, thank you again, T, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for supporting this platform, constantly sharing it, and making sure you bring about awareness, how we could take better care of ourselves so we could be able to serve our patients better, our patients and families better. And you take care.
Same to you, Patrice. Thank you.